everybody. Thank you for joining the safety meeting for the month of June. Our title this month is Calm the Storm, Techniques for Effective Conflict Management. This month we'll go over our customer service results for May, safety reporting data including driver trends analytics, driver training, which is effective communication for conflict, and we'll also talk about health and wellness. And then we'll also be recognizing Malik Medif this month. He received Driver of the Month for some customer service support he gave to a young lady earlier in the month. Annette, the floor is yours.
Thank you guys for joining our monthly safety meeting. Today we're going to go over customer service results for the month of May. So here we have 91 comments for the month of May, which is great in comparison to June of 2024. We had a total of 111 comments, which is good. So thank you guys for bringing that down. Good job. This is total comments by type. As you see here, we had one bypass, and the star here is compliments. We had 12 compliments for the month of May, which is fantastic. I've learned that this is the most ever. I believe that you prior to this, there's only been like 6 compliments a month. So you guys almost double that. Good job on that. Driving, we have 5 valid comments, 2 early, 1 late, 3 pass-ups, and 3 refused boarding. Okay.
Which is a summary.
Today we're going to go over key aspects of positive customer experience. The golden rule of excellent customer service: be friendly. A warm, friendly attitude sets a tone for a positive customer experience. Greet with a smile. Make eye contact and offer sincere greetings. Simple phrases like hello, welcome, good morning, good afternoon go a long way in making the customers feel appreciated. Be proactive. Pay attention to customer cues and body language. Offer assistance and recommendations. This shows attentiveness and makes customers feel acknowledged and valued. Why this matters: friendly, proactive service builds trust, encourages repeat business, and turns everyday interactions into memorable experiences. Any questions? This is super exciting, guys. This is my favorite slide to share with you guys. So for the month of May, shout out to our amazing Keolis RTC drivers. We're proud to recognize all 12 of our dedicated bus drivers for going above and beyond to deliver safe, reliable, and friendly service to our community. Your professionalism, positive attitude, and commitment to excellence make a real impact on our passengers, and we're grateful for everything that you do. So thank you for being the driving force behind our mission to keep Reno moving. Keep up the incredible work, team. And there are a few of you guys here that have compliments up there, and we'll start with Hassan. Female driver on Route 5 is a nice lady. Dana, driver has outstanding awareness and provides excellent customer service. Lisa, the bus driver was very nice and polite. Cherie and Marcus, drivers on Route 9 are kind and friendly. Lionel Lopez, his quick reaction avoided a crash near the airport. His first concern was to make sure all passengers were okay. Bruce, good word for Bruce on the Route 56, safe driver. Mikey and Jesse, 2 female drivers on Route 5. Thank you for being good at what you do. Customer really has fun talking with them. Mikey again, the bus driver was very nice. Malik did a courtesy ride after his shift. Grateful parents, thank you for your kindness and care. Randy, the bus driver was nice and lowered the ramp for me. Great job. Ray and Cherie, compliments going out to a few drivers as they do a good job. Ray on the 56, Cherie on Route 9. Nicole, compliment Nicole of Route 5 for her kindness and being nice. Oh yeah. Fun stuff we have going on. So right here we show a slide of, we're gonna have Carson City Barbecue come out on July 2nd, and we're also doing a lucky draw. Do some fun activity, a good way for us to connect and, celebrate our hard work together. So yeah, save the date for July 2nd.
Any questions for customer service? All good?
Good, thank you guys.
All right, everyone, we're gonna jump right into the Reno specific data. Drive cam statistics for our 90-day comparison. We do show going up in the month of May to 137. The good news is, however, I was doing some research and I'm finding that a lot of the rolling stops and fail to stop is over here on our route, I think 12, where it's we can continue on. So I'm thinking if I can get this work done, we can probably bring our number down significantly. So I'm not going to focus too much on the numbers, but let's see where we're at once we get that fixed. But always please be aware of those late responses, following distance, and that we are stopping. So tell me what you observe.
Rolling stop.
Rolling stop.
Failed to stop.
That
Oh, yeah,
was
failure to stop too.
exactly. So that was just one example of the lytics that I found. So just something to be aware of. If we see a stop sign, continue on. Don't continue on. Make sure we stop. Collision statistics, 90-day comparison. In the month of May, we had 6 total collisions. One of those was preventable. We also had a fixed object. Of the preventable collisions, we still have a 0 accident frequency rate because that person did not go to the hospital, but it was still counted as a preventable. That was for failure to yield for the pedestrian in a crosswalk. These videos are not easy to watch, but I do this for your awareness. We want to not see this happen. We always have to be looking ahead, looking around, paying attention to other vehicles and obstacles, okay? This is a little bit of a warning coming. What are you seeing?
Crosswalk.
Pedestrian.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. How can you not see that?
Somebody not paying
What
attention.
was on?
We always have to watch. The pedestrian, the people on the bus acknowledged this before the driver did. When we talk about mindlessness driving, when you're focused on something else, maybe looking in another direction, we hate showing these videos, but at the same time, it's a reminder how easily this can happen. The person did not go to medical. They didn't walk away, but they did not have to get transported to the hospital. So once again, we got very, very lucky without a fatality. But let's really, really be focused. I don't want to keep playing these videos. We have these discussions in safety meetings because we want you guys to always realize that things like this can happen in just an instant. So we always have to be on high alert. People working at a warehouse somewhere don't get to watch videos like this. So when they're out driving, they're not the professionals. They're not always doing what we've been taught to do. So that's why we have drivers in a higher regard as being professional drivers. Here's another one. What do you see in this picture?
Bike.
Where's the bike at?
In between the curb and the bus.
There's
There's
a
a
line bike.
Do you expect the bikes to jump the curb?
No.
No.
There's no room for the bike in that lane, so you need to move lanes.
Exactly. We either move lanes or we slow down. In this scenario, the driver did not slow down.
Ooh.
Person again was lucky, fell over the other way, did not get severely hurt. The reality is we recognize that people are not always paying attention. The bicyclist didn't always look back and look to see if the bus was coming. The buses are quiet. The person on the crosswalk, it doesn't appear that they ever looked to the left and looked to see if traffic was coming or not coming, or to make eye contact. That's what we tell people to do. We want people to do that, but at the end of the day, we live in a very distracted world, and people are not paying attention. So we have to really, really be on high guard, essentially, to watch out for people that are not paying attention, to avoid accidents like this. So that brings us to our safety summary for May, which is 0 AFR, but our incident frequency was 16.28. based upon the miles of 276,651, and a recap of that one preventable accident. And then we had 11 non-preventables, 5 hit by other vehicles, 4 passenger injuries, 1 passenger incident, and 1 property damage. And moving on to the general objective for the meeting, objectives for safety discussion, how to identify situations that cause stress. This is what we're going to be wanting to talk about this month. You guys are going to be professionals by the end of this hour. How attitude impacts our daily activities, positive passenger interaction, managing our own behavior, conflict prevention, and we'll talk about PTSD Awareness Month. So what situations just stress you out? Traffic. That's the number one in both meetings. Yes, absolutely. So stress can erode professional attitudes and behavior while on the job. There's a lot of things that can cause us stress throughout the day. Awareness is the most effective way to prevent it from becoming an issue between you and your passengers. There may be things that have the potential to cause stress throughout a person's day. How we handle that stress is going to determine the outcome for the rest of the day. What factors stress us out when we're on routes? We mentioned traffic. That's number one in the last meeting. In this one, pedestrians not paying attention, other bad drivers. There's a lot of things out there that can stress us out. So what are ways that you can manage and control your stress?
I believe first of all is recognize it.
Recognize it, absolutely. Be aware of it, your own stress factors. We talked about this in CUDA training sometimes, Module 4, chilling out, finding ways to decompress and relax a little bit.
Rest.
One thing that we like to share is use the rule of 5. Does anybody know what the rule of 5 is? When you're stressed out or the situation occurs, ask yourself, is this going to matter in 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, maybe 5 years? More than likely, the answer is no. Unless we allow it to affect us, we make the choice that we are in control of our actions and reactions. Have any of you ever heard of the fish philosophy? Based upon the Seattle's fish market. Long story short, it's a book. There's a book out there. It's called The Fish Philosophy. This was in the farmer's market up there. They were having some bad customer service reviews. This was years ago. And so they basically are people dealing with smelly fish all day long and a lot of people coming and going. And one thing that they recognize is how to make their day more fun, how to have fun with this. So they created a 4-step guideline. It's in a book. And it's basically 1, choose your attitude. 2, make their day. 3, be present. And 4, play. So have fun. They really changed the way they were able to deal with all the smells and the people. They just started having fun at their jobs. And we're kind of in the same situation. There's things that we can do to have fun, enjoy customer service and interaction with people. I would definitely recommend the book, but in general, it's just choosing your attitude is really what it comes down to.
What's the last one?
Play. Have fun. Another way to view this, if you had $86,400 in your account and someone stole $10 from you, would you get upset and want to get rid of all that money for that 10 seconds or that $10?
Yep.
No.
Most people would say no. $10 is not worth worrying about the $86,000. And what this comes down to is you have 86,400 seconds of each day. So what we're trying to say is don't let one person who's taken 10 seconds of your day ruin the rest of it for you. That's like a fun one. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. How our attitude is perceived is more important than the facts. So attitude does play an important role in your outlook on day-to-day living. Attitudes are contagious. When someone around you is positive, it will hopefully give you a positive outlook. Same thing goes around people or someone with a negative attitude. Do you like being around that person? We are in charge of our own attitudes. I was sharing that I went to a training class once, and we walked into the room and there was like 50 balloons up on the ceiling of fun little animals and stuff like that, and then a couple ugly looking little balloon things, and they called those the viruses. And as the balloons were touching the positive ones, they were popping them all. And in short, it was basically showing how quickly a negative attitude can affect everybody else. So it was kind of a neat little, I would have done it here, but I don't have enough balloons to do that with all these classes. But choosing your attitude has a lot to do with how we make our day. Perception is reality. Intent versus impact. How a person perceives something is their reality. It doesn't matter what the intent was. What you wanted me to hear, see, or understand is not necessarily what I heard, saw, or understood. It's my viewpoint that determines what happens next, my perception. If we were to look at the customer service statistics and all of the complaints that we actually find to be invalid, their perception is that these are valid, but the reality is when we're investigating, they're not always valid. For example, if you're a driver and you're in the front seat in the very, in the bus, you've got your borders, what do you call those? The safety shield, thank you. And somebody is standing in the aisle in the back and you need to holler back at them. And somebody complains and says the driver is yelling at all of us. Maybe you're just trying to keep people safe. You had to escalate your voice. You had to elevate your voice to talk to people in the back. That's a perception versus reality. The reality is you're giving procedures and guidelines. Perception was you guys were yelling and being mean and hurting their feelings. So there's different ways we can look at that. The perception is what is that I mean because I inform of the perception is that I am mean because I inform you of the rules. The reality is I want to keep you safe and I'm ensuring you understand the rules so you can comply. What else is out there? Like maybe, for example, a perception versus reality. This was a fun one we had in the last class. Somebody falls asleep while I'm giving a training. What's my perception?
You're boring.
I'm boring, right? Oh my gosh, I'm putting people to sleep. Happens in every class. Or maybe, the reality is that they're just tired or they've been up, doing a route and just coming here at the end of the day after a 12-hour route and just trying to get their safety meeting in. There's a lot of different ways we can perceive something. Think about how you would feel if you were the person witnessing any of these behaviors. How would you instantly be understanding? Or would your first reaction be defensive because you believe these actions are personal towards you? So it's a big deal to kind of be open-minded and recognize that sometimes what we see happening is not the truth. So for another example, you're at a bus stop and people are boarding and the operator looks at their watch and rolls their eyes. What is the passenger's perception?
Bus driver's rude, impatient.
Right? What might be the reality?
You might just wanna know what time it is.
Right? You never know what people are gonna think. You might just be like, oh man, I still got another 4 more minutes before we leave this bus stop. I'm running hot, So we don't know what's necessarily happening all the time when things are happening. Passenger appears to be asleep while waiting at a bus stop. What's your perception?
They live there.
They live there? Perhaps. Right? What might be the reality? They're tired. Maybe they just got off a 12-hour shift. They're at a bus stop and they're like, oh, I just need to close my eyes for a second. Maybe they don't feel good,
Fentanyl.
What was that?
Fentanyl.
Yeah, drugs.
Could be drugs. They could be. In the last class, they said maybe he's passed away or she's passed away if they're asleep. Maybe they need medical help. Again, perception versus reality, you just never know. Passenger interaction. As operators, your role is to project a positive and welcoming demeanor, provide a safe ride, keep a schedule, navigate through traffic, and provide positive interaction. How you choose to fill this role has an impact on your day. The image you project is also a direct reflection on your transit system and how it does business. So posture, sitting and standing tall with shoulders back makes you appear confident. Leaning slightly toward the passenger as they board sends a message that you are ready to help. On the other hand, slouching over the steering wheel, sagging in your seat, and sitting with arms crossed sends a signal that you are uninterested and disengaged. Eye contact, where operators who maintain good eye contact appear more trustworthy and credible. Staring out the window while passengers board sends a "don't bother me" signal. Personal appearance, keeping your hair neat and your clothing clean says that you care about being a professional. For safety's sake, avoid any clothing or accessory that restrict your motion. Positive attitude. Operators who maintain a positive and professional attitude throughout the day earn the respect and appreciation of regular riders. Also, a positive outlook can help disarm someone looking to start an argument with you. Passengers can tell when you are just going through the motions, and that often results in customer frustration and irritation. So with that said, what are some situations that could cause conflict? Feel free to read.
The heat lately.
The heat, right? What else?
Variation, other passengers, unauthorized stops, delays and disruptions, priority seating, traffic, unauthorized items.
Lots of things, right?
Them thinking you're late when you're not.
Right? Not understanding the schedules, not understanding when you're at a time point and yelling at you because you haven't left yet.
Not looking at your bus sign and realizing they're on the wrong bus.
Right? That happens, or the wrong direction. Fare evasion is a big one. I think that's the biggest one with our escalations. I've said in the last 2 meetings, but I focused on this really a lot in the last one. What do we do if the person doesn't have fare?
Give them a ride.
Update the price, move on.
Right? And what's their number one reason for that?
I don't wanna get
Safety.
killed.
Right?
Avoid conflict.
Avoid conflict. And what else will happen if we make a passenger mad? I showed 2 pictures last month.
Punches.
We ended up with smashed doors. This happened a couple nights ago. Passenger comes on. Not going to say that the passenger was the nicest person in the world. They were kind of doing the arrogant walk through after throwing their drink over on the side. Probably had a few drinks and isn't feeling, we know that we don't mess with drunks sometimes. And then he tried to not pay. Driver's forcing them to pay. And then he said he tried to put in a $100 bill, and then driver said, "No, you didn't, get off my bus." With that, we kicked him out. Guess what's in the guy's hand the whole time?
What's this?
A stick.
That's it.
So we escalated a situation rather than de-escalate. Just let the guy ride, get him a safe ride home.
What kind is this?
Like an actual, almost like a walking stick, but a little bit smaller to a point. And what do you think happened as soon as we kicked him off?
He hit the bus with it.
We hit the bus with it. So now we have another window down. There's a reason why we say, don't worry about it, let it go. We'll talk about that some more. So passenger interaction techniques. Here's the reality. We all have bad days. It's nearly impossible to be upbeat, positive, and or happy every minute of every day. Why? Life. We're human, absolutely. Life is capitalized even in my responses here. We all have things that happen and affect how we feel, how we act, how we react, and that holds true for all of us, our passengers and other motorists on the road. It doesn't give you a free pass to lose your temper or respond in an impolite or hostile way. No matter how badly a passenger or someone else behaves, your job is to stay professional and respond in a firm but calm manner. Also remember to match what you say with how you say it. People often react more to nonverbal cues such as tone and body language as they do exactly with what is being said. When confronting angry, threatening, or defiant passenger behavior, it's important to keep in mind the following bullet points. Be respectful of space. Try not to invade their personal space. Moving in too closely can be perceived as a threat. Body language, standing shoulder to shoulder or face to face, can be interpreted as a challenge. A better position is to angle or keep in a distance of about 2 to 3 feet or more whenever possible. And make sure you don't send unintended messages with other parts of your body. For example, watch what your hands, make sure that your hands are not clenched with clenched fists, or that you are not frowning or scowling as you deliver a message that you want to be just perceived as calm and confident. Your voice, of course, can also control how somebody's perceiving you. So respect personal space, body language, tone of voice, managing your own behavior. We want to check our own behavior to make sure that we are not the one responsible for escalating a non-threatening situation into a threatening one. Self-regulation is the ability to control our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in pursuit of long-term goals. It involves managing disruptive emotions and impulses, allowing us to respond thoroughly rather than react impulsively. Here are some keys to enhanced self-strategies and self-regulation. Use mindfulness. By practicing mindfulness, it helps us stay present and aware of our emotions. We mentioned this earlier in the course, recognizing that. Cognitive behavioral techniques, which is to identify and challenge negative thought patterns that lead to undesirable behaviors and replace those with a positive alternative way to respond healthier. Stop, breathe, reflect, and choose. This is a 4-step approach that encourages us to pause when experiencing strong emotions, take a deep breath, reflect on the situation, and choose a thoughtful response. Self-management. Set yourself some clear goals. Self-monitor. Create a supportive environment. Put yourself around people that keep you positive, that give you support. And use reinforcement. Use a reward system for yourself and maybe even your coworkers, your friends. Be supportive to one another. And then also with that, build emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is defined as the ability to perceive, understand, and manage one's own emotions as well as the emotions of others. And this is what they talk about, not getting emotionally hijacked. When you start to respond negatively to a customer, you are being emotionally hijacked at that point. So we want to recognize our emotions, behavior, and the way we respond to things. Number one thing that we talk about, that we see, is to practice empathy. Try to understand the perspectives and feelings of others. This can improve our interactions and help us respond more compassionately. And next, develop patience. Empathy and patience are extremely two key words to use and utilize when you're out and dealing with conflict. When I went to an APTA course, empathy was probably the number one topic that they talked about in one of those de-escalation classes. So preventing conflict. We've said this earlier, let it go. Maintain self-control, avoid confrontation. We all have things that stress us out, bother us, or make us act or react. We need to know that those are not, we need to know what those are and not let the other person's actions take us out of our character and cause emotional hijacking. And when someone irritates us, we can't fall into the trap, get defensive, or retaliate. When we do, we contribute to the problem and risk the situation even getting worse. We need to remain cool and project calmness at all times. Always take a few seconds to think rationally about a situation. Slow down your response. Maybe even take a deep breath or even count to 10 if that's what's necessary. Just don't react when you're going to add fuel to the fire. What do we say?
Let it go.
Let it go. So, conflict prevention techniques. When faced with a challenging situation, remember to use the following prevention techniques. Stay calm. Stay neutral. Don't make it personal. Respect your passengers. Understand what pushes people's buttons. Listen and let it go. You need to pick your battles. If a highly agitated passenger is a quarter short of the full fare, it's probably best to just let it go. Calmness is a cradle of power. I like that one. So moving on to personal health and wellness, it is PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder awareness month. It's not the load that breaks you, it's the way you carry it. Life is tough, but then so are you. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health condition that can develop after experiencing or witnessing a traumatic event such as combat, sexual assault, natural disasters, or serious accidents. Symptoms may include flashbacks, nightmares, severe anxiety, or uncontrollable thoughts about the event that caused the PTSD. It can interfere with your daily life, affecting relationships and work. It is important to note that while many people experience these reactions of trauma, many begin to feel better after a few weeks. That does conclude the safety meeting. Unless you have any questions, one thing I do want to add though is a topic. It was just suggested based upon security the other day. We have no rules or guidelines on when you need to exit the bus, and if there's people maybe like on the Route 11 and they're going to remain on the bus and you have to run into CP or 4SS, be cautious of when you close the doors. There was a passenger that had the doors closed while they were in there, and another passenger started to give her a hard time and she felt like she was a little bit trapped without the doors being open. I do believe it was an ADA passenger, so it was a little bit more support needed anyways. But just kind of a thought process to be aware of who's on your buses if you're leaving the bus. You can always leave the doors open. That makes people feel better. And as long as you have your personal belongings with you, they will be more than likely to board the bus. Usually they pay, so we're not worried about the fare. We don't care. But it just a safety precaution. We might want to leave the doors open when we leave the bus if people are still on there. So that was just kind of a team tip that was sent over to me. Go ahead.
So anything on the security doing their job, keeping out people out of the bus lanes?
I actually did talk to them in the safety meetings
Scooters,
just this last week.
pedestrians?
He said, yeah, I talked to them about all of that in our meeting with RTC and security. I let them know that it's been a concern of ours and that we're seeing it more and more often, and it doesn't feel like sometimes they're on top of it. They did say that they're trying to catch people and stop it from happening, but I did address it in the meeting with RTC and security together.